Adam with 541 Fish Keepers here, and I am going to do a video for you guys today on a do-it-yourself Java Moss floating ball. So you can buy these at some of the stores, but they're kind of expensive. They're normally like between 8 and 12 bucks is what I've seen them normally go for. So I figured I'd show you guys how to make one with simple household items that pretty much everyone should have. Got a ping pong ball, some yarn. I got mine, it's green, so it can kind of match that a little bit, but it doesn't matter because it won't show up after a little while anyway. Get a little bit of Java Moss if you have some, or if you buy some. Either way, it's cheaper to buy some, or if you know someone who has a bunch, they'll probably just give it to you. A pair of scissors, and a hot glue gun, which is optional. That's just for if you really come into a situation where the string's not holding on a clump like the way you want it to, you could go to the hot glue gun. This is a low temp, don't want to use high temp on the plants, but that's kind of a backup just in case. You don't need it, but if you want it, it can be kind of handy. So basically what you're going to do is, you're going to take your ping pong ball and your Java Moss, and you're going to take clumps of it. Don't want to rip it up too much, but take a nice clump of it like this. You're going to get your ping pong ball and just kind of wrap it around it. And then once you wrap it around it like this, you're going to get your string. Get a nice section out. And you're going to take your string and lay it over the Java Moss you just put on the ball. Go around it like once, maybe twice in this direction, and then switch directions. Go up and over and around, and try and get some of those stragglers in as you're doing it. Keep going around. You get a nice firm base layer of this Java Moss on here. So that looks pretty good. Now we'll get another clump, set this down, grab some more. Kind of spread it out a little bit. Like so, and put it over the base layer. It starts looking a little more thick, and some of those stragglers, just kind of tuck them in. Get the string and go around it again. You don't have to double up as many times this time around, but just make sure you get the majority of the big clumps under the string. And you don't need to pull it super tight. You don't want to pull it really tight because it can actually damage the Java Moss. So just kind of wrap it around. Doesn't need to be super tight. So now it's starting to actually look like a Java Moss ball. And then we get our rest here, and it starts looking really nice after you get these last couple layers on. So like this, cover it up real good, get that string again, and this time around you can leave a couple of the bigger ones loose because you don't want it to look too mashed up when you put it in the tank. And then we'll do the final layer. Now it's a little wet still. Okay. Let's spread it out. And we'll put this final layer on. Wrap it around like so. And do one more time around with the string. This time only go around a couple times because you don't want the string to be showing up too much right away if you can avoid it. And then, once you've got a nice wrap on it, like so, I'm going to take off a pretty decent section of string here. So, good 2 foot or so, and just cut it off. And then what we're going to do is make a loop that we can tie onto from here so that the string will stay. So once you get to this point, you get the end of your string here, and you're going to weave it through one of the tiny threads from before. So find a little spot from one of the early wraps and just kind of weave it through. And I do weave it through a couple times. I think I've done it like 3 or 4 times. And then give it one nice cinch. Kind of put your fingers up, push it in a little bit. And that'll give it a little knot there. So when it floats, it will have a nice support on it. It's not going to break. So that is the moss ball. And for tying it down, you can either find a small rock or use something that's existing in your tank, like the base of a plant or some kind of decoration you have in there to tie it to. And of course you can just cut the string and adjust it to how long you would like the actual moss ball to be floating above the surface, because you'll have plenty of give with the string. That's why you cut it a little longer at first. Give yourself some room to decide how long and how far you want it to float in your tank. So I've got a couple of obsidian stones that I will go tie this onto and put it in one of my tanks, and I will show you guys the final result. Alright, so here is the final result in my 15-gallon tower tank. Put it kind of towards the top because there's not a whole lot going on up here. And it's tied down, the string goes down and it's tied down to a rock down at the bottom. And right now you can see some of the strings on the outside, but don't worry about that because give it a couple weeks and the Java moss will just take off and you won't be able to see the strings anymore, and it'll get pretty big and start sending shoots out everywhere, and it ends up looking really, really neat. And you'll actually end up having to trim it to keep it in the shape of a ball eventually. But yeah, that's the final product for the do-it-yourself Java moss ball. Super easy project, only takes a couple of minutes with household stuff, and I would highly recommend doing it. I think it's a really cool flair to a tank, and it adds a cool layer of protection in the upper parts of your tank if you don't have a lot of foliage or hiding spots in the upper part of the tank. I'm sure these flying foxes are absolutely going to love it because they already perch on top of the leaves and stuff. But yeah, fun little project I thought I'd share with you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you found it useful and you liked it, please make sure to smash that like button for us. And if you want to see more videos and tips on fish tanks and updates and profiles, then go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We appreciate it, and we'll get more content coming your guys' way. Thanks.